Hi, do you know today's thought? A few days ago I did a thought on the Israeli army showing how Muslims and Christians serve right alongside Jews in the Israeli army to make the point that Israel is a country where the Muslims and Christians, where everybody in Israel, or almost everybody, the vast majority of Israelis, whether they are Jews or Christians or Muslims, they are loyal Israeli citizens willing to fight and die for their country, again, regardless of whether they're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim. So I had to make that point to put a lie to this idea of Israel being South Africa in the Middle East. So it could not be further from the truth. But I got a comment that either that same day or the next day after that vlog appeared. Let me just put up the comment for you. It's from Ikram Ali Kashmiri, and he said, "We will never forget. We will never stop sharing free Palestine." Well, Mr. Kashmiri may not stop saying free Palestine, but I can show you or name somebody who will stop, who has stopped actually forever. This guy, that gentleman, now fortunately deceased, is or was Ismail Haniyeh, whom the Israelis just killed right in the middle of Tehran, and he follows very closely on the second in command of Hezbollah, whom the Israelis killed right in the middle of Beirut, now in a Hezbollah stronghold. So, first of all, I remember reading a story just recently that Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, he had visited Iran to plan or to consult on October 7th, the October 7th massacre. So that was one reason that he went. But there's another just as important reason why Haniyeh went to, Nasrallah went to Tehran and then came back. We now know why. And the reason is very simple, because the Israelis allowed it. If they wanted Nasrallah dead, he would have been dead. Because we know that because Ismail Haniyeh was just killed right in Tehran and right in Beirut, right in the middle of Hezbollah's stronghold, that's a term they use. Nasrallah's second in command was eliminated by Israel. They wanted to send a very clear message, which is that if they want to get you, they'll get you. And both of these were probably, almost certainly in retaliation for the murder, the massacre of a dozen and the wounding of many more children and some adults. Well, only children were killed in this soccer field in Israel, these Druze children. And which is another thing, the Druze are Muslims, or they're not Muslims, they have a very strange kind of religion. It combines elements of Islam and Christianity and Judaism. I don't want to get off on a track like that. You can look them up, the Druze. But not much is known about their religion anyhow. But the point, because they're very secretive and they don't accept converts at all. So getting back to Israel's message, it's that they can get another message they're sending is, they said it, an Israeli official said it, that if there is a war between Lebanon and Israel, if Hezbollah starts a war with Israel, that Nasrallah will not survive that war. So he can, enjoy dying knowing that there's a war with Israel, but he's not going to know how that war turns out, most likely, unless he's captured alive and tried as a war criminal, after which he will be promptly executed. Sinwar's Yahya's Sinwar hiding in his tunnel below Gaza, his days are numbered too. He's been called a dead man walking by the Israelis, and we can be sure he is. Sooner or later they will get to him. It's just a matter of time. How long will it take? In the meantime, and I don't know why Israel does not make this point, that because you have these hostages who are being held in, 4 hostages were not too long ago rescued by the Israelis, and they were held above ground in a civilian apartment. Now, the understanding is that Sinwar is surrounded by some hostages in the tunnels, so there are hostages in the tunnels, but there's one hostage, there's a handful of hostages that nobody talks about, these other hostages, and they are Yahya Sinwar himself, his wife, and his children. They are all hiding in the tunnels, the same as the hostages. They don't dare come out. Sinwar definitely does not dare come out. He'll be killed or captured and then put on trial and then promptly executed. So he is a hostage too. He is holding himself hostage and his family, and I don't know why the Israelis don't send a message to him, which is going to be maybe a little harder now because one Hania, there's only one. There was Hania, and then there is Mashal, Khalid Mashal. He's the other co-leader, second in command, I think, the Hania. So presumably he's in charge, but he has to know that he's a marked man too if the Israelis decide to kill him. So he has to know that Hamas, eventually he'll be killed if Hamas does not surrender. And that just leaves Sinwar, as I said, and he is trapped in that tunnel. And I don't know why the Israelis do not send a message one way or the other to him and say, okay, well, if you don't want to come out and surrender, if you don't want to call off this war that you are losing badly, then you and your wife and your children will spend the rest of their lives in a tunnel. That his children will never see the sun as long as they live. They'll live to hopefully a ripe old age, live well into their 80s, maybe their 90s, having never seen the sun and just spent their whole life in the tunnel. And his wife, and then that's it. Maybe after Hania dies, the wife and kids would come out, because Israel has nothing against the wife and kids, but Sinwar will come out. So I don't know why they don't give that, deliver that message to him, that you don't care about yourself, if you're happy to see your children dead, as spend their lives in the tunnels. And it's interesting, getting back to Hani, I'll end on this. The Israelis killed, he had 3 sons in Gaza, and the Israelis killed all 3 of them. And he expressed just equanimity. He didn't care. There was no grief in his face when he talked about his sons being killed, all 3 sons being killed. So I'll just leave you with that thought. That's a thought for today, that the Israelis, they're being very smart. They will, I guess the final thought is, now we'll see what happens next, that Iran supposedly will retaliate, and Hezbollah maybe will retaliate. Maybe they'll try to invade the Galilee, which would really be stupid. But one way or another, I don't want to predict, but I would not be surprised if we're heading towards a war in the Middle East. And Israel, they're not going to be, depending on what response they get, they won't be able to hold off, which is what I would like them to be able to do, because there were for a few more months, because number one, they get Trump into office, who will fully support them, as opposed to this administration, which will try to stop the war and perhaps slow walk or cut off completely weapons, or at least offensive weapons, and just let the Israelis sit there and just have 150,000 rockets launched at them, forever and ever. You want to wait if possible. Plus, the Israelis are making great advances in laser weapons, laser anti-missile, anti-mortar, anti-aircraft, anti-drone weapons. They haven't got, it's supposed to be deployed in a year or two. I think they'll start deploying the first units. But that would solve the problem completely for the Israelis, because they'll be able to shoot down any number of incoming projectiles to them at very minimal cost. As long as they have the electrical power, they can shoot down anything, which I keep having these final thoughts, but it reverses the equation. Right now, there are some of these rockets, well, not anymore. When was the last time you saw a rocket coming from Gaza? They're just about out of rockets. Maybe they'll get a handful or once in a while. And actually, they did launch a rocket, and it fell short in Gaza and killed some Gazans. Never reached Israel. But those rockets cost a few $100s. Meanwhile, the anti-tank, the Iron Dome missiles cost $50,000 a pop. So you can see how that equation doesn't work. But then with the laser weapons, that equation is reversed, and it will cost, each rocket will cost $100,000. Not to mention the precision missiles, the better, more sophisticated missiles that Hezbollah has. Those cost a lot, but the cost of shooting them down to the Israelis with a laser will just be, a couple of bucks per shot. So and they can shoot down a virtually unlimited number of these rockets coming in, because they can hit a rocket, they can destroy a rocket from 10 kilometers away, long before anything could reach Israel. So that, unless you're talking about a mortar, maybe launched right from the border. So that's it. I'm getting into rambling mode here, so I'm going to sign off. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. If you have any comments, put it in the comment section below the video. If I were, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And if you're an enemy of Israel, even if maybe the only place you're safe in is Oman, because Israel doesn't want to stir up a hornet's nest with Oman, because Oman is acting as a mediator in the hostage negotiations. But if the Israelis, this is the point, if the Israelis wanted to get somebody, if they had wanted to kill Hanya in Oman, they could have done it. They could do it anytime. They could kill right now Mashal in Oman if they wanted to, or Turkey, or wherever the heck he goes. So they're probably going to have to just stay in Oman. He's going to have to stay in Oman probably the rest of his life, and because he dares not venture out. So again, look forward to seeing all of you again, and until I do see all of you again, bye.